going to talk about the dynamics of a human group, dynamics such as group culture, group rules, group enemies, etc. If you can understand these aspects of a group, you can detach yourself and become a more rational, independent thinker. Most groups usually have emotional, simplistic thinking, such as good versus evil and us versus them mentality. Life is not just black and white, there's a grey area that many groups fail to see. Anyway, let's get into the group dynamics. Group culture. Social force is always blending and knitting the group together based on the particular chemistry of its members. You can notice this when traveling to another country or working at a company with other people. This social force has an effect on you, usually without realizing it. When looking at your own group and culture, figure out the overall mood that prevails. Examine the group's actions and the emotional mood. Ask yourself these questions. Is it loosely structured, easygoing, organized, traditional, members afraid of stepping out of line, have an elitist attitude, masculine, feminine, etc. The culture will often center on the ideal that it imagines for itself, such as liberal, progressive, modern, ruthless, competitive, etc. The group may or may not live up to this ideal. Either way, the ideal operates as a myth to bind the group members. Group rules and codes. For any human group, disorder and anarchy are too distressing, so we form these standards of conduct and rules. These rules and codes are never written down, but are implicit. Violate them in some way, and you risk certain consequences. The group imposes its own order without the need for active policing. The codes will regulate through acceptable appearances, work ethic, how much free talk is allowed, etc. When you're new to a group, pay attention to these codes. Look at who's rising and who's falling within the group. The group has standards that govern success and failure. For example, their definition of success could be results, being moral, or just some political gossip. The group court. If you observe any community of chimpanzees at the zoo, you will notice the existence of an alpha male. The other chimpanzees are adapting their behavior to him. They're fawning, imitating, and struggling to forge closer ties. This is the pre-human version of the court. Today the court is around film executives, the CEO of a business, the head of an academic department, the political boss, etc. The more powerful the leader, the more intense the game of power will be. The courtiers may look different now, but their behavior and strategies are pretty much the same. Here are some things you need to know. To gain the attention of the leader, you can use flattery, but be careful on how you use flattery. If you make it too obvious, they will see through your motives and you seem desperate. You should focus on flattering the qualities that no one else had bothered to pay attention to. Another thing to pay attention to is the other courtiers. Standing out or being too charming can stir up envy. You want as many courtiers on your side as much as possible, so learn to downplay your success. You should figure out what type of people you're dealing with. Could be a smart, aggressive person, or a envious, insecure courtier, etc. Read what type of person they are. Overall, there's no way to get out of the court dynamic. Political games is just part of human nature. It does not pay to be naive, so learn to play the game of court strategy. The group enemy. Groups tend to have fear towards anyone that's an outsider to the group. This fear can easily turn into hatred. This enemy can be real or a delusion. Groups usually describe their enemies as immoral, irrational, aggressive, etc. This tends to be exaggerated most of the time. Most groups have a hard time seeing from different perspectives. You need to look at the group you belong to and the enemy that your group hates. See the enemy as it is and be aware of your bias. Keep an open mind and avoid the downward pull and overreactions from your group. Group factions. Over time, individuals in the group might split off into factions. The reason for this is because we get an ego boost from being around people who share the same values. But when a group is over a certain size, you start to see the noticeable differences. So we start to split off into subgroups to make us have more control and power. It's hard to have any influence when a group gets too large. This is pretty much going to dangerous territory because it can be hard to keep all these factions down. Factions can become powerful and take over the leader position. Luckily, there's a way to prevent a group from splitting up in the first place. Basically, you can create a positive culture that excites and unifies its members. This will make factions less attractive and less likely to happen. That's all the group dynamics explained. With this knowledge, you can look at your own group and other groups from a more rational standpoint. Link in the description if you want to get the book. It's called The Laws of Human Nature. Also leave a like and subscribe if this provided value to you. Thanks for watching. Make sure to fulfill your purpose, and farewell.